Well, hello everybody. This is a 2008 Cargo Craft 7x16 enclosed trailer I actually picked up from a friend of mine. It was at his business and it was kind of in his way, and he wanted to get rid of it. We struck up a deal and now I own it. It's actually in pretty good shape. I've been going around doing minor repairs and fixes to make it up to my standards as far as safety and roadworthiness. Got a spare tire in here. I'm going to show you something I'm going to fix, but you can see these anchors in the floor. These are actually pretty neat. They're bolted all the way through to the bottom. And then you can take these eye bolts and screw them in there and tie down whatever you want. It's a motorcycle chalk. He had some motorcycles and whatnot tied down. So there's about, I don't know, a dozen of those on the floor here and there. What I'm going to do is find something to plug these while not in use. A small, hopefully low profile screw if I can find the right ones, and that'll also keep, bugs and wasps out of it. I don't really have a use for it other than storage right now, but went ahead and picked it up. Just checking lights, whatnot. I had a brake cable severed here, fixed that up. All the brakes work fine. I need to lube the axles up, replace a reflector here. The fender's been a little crunched. I'll straighten that up with a hammer and dolly, but it had the plastic catch to hold this side door open. I will have to modify this. I'll show you my other trailer in a moment of what I'm going to end up doing here, but I needed to mount this somewhere around in this arena, and I'll make a little block off cover plate to fill this. But the bottom of the door is all rotted out right here. Evidently at some point in time this silicone broke loose, water got in there, no way for it to escape. Once I repair this, I'm going to drill in the bottom of this aluminum channel a few holes across there, so in the event I do get water in there in the future, it'll have a way to get out. I'm going to do that on my trailer as well, even though the door is still in good shape. Only thing I've really done to it so far was breakaway cable needed to be replaced. Got a sand pad for it there, put it on. I don't have a battery for it, but it's not going to be used that much, so if I do tow with it, I'll pull the battery out of this trailer and stick it in there. But here's ultimately what I'm going to end up doing is the same setup here. This too started its life as a straight 6-inch one, and you can see I've cut it off and tweaked it just a little bit so it comes around, latches in, holds the door just fine. Like I said, this door is still in good shape, but I can see breakdown here where there is actually no silicone actually when they built it. This is an 05, so I'll drill a few holes into the bottom like I'd said. Moving back into the actual project at hand, this door weighs a fair amount and I need to get it off. So I need to pull these bolts here and down there. And my intention is to remove just enough of the fasteners out of it and this side right here to try to just slide whatever panel that is behind this Luan out. I don't know if I'll end up replacing the entire thing or just cut off the bat and put in a new piece. I'm really not sure what's in here yet until I break it open. But a little bit of a long intro. Let's get underway. Well, I've pulled the door. It probably only weighed about 40 pounds or so. I've got it in my shop sitting on a table. I only had one casualty in this incident, and I'll describe that right now. Where the strap hinges are held on, these are the ones for the top, in pretty good shape. I managed to get this one out. Things that are rusty like this, I usually start trying to tighten them first and then back them back out. I did that with this one and it did snap clean in two, so it's just simply a carriage bolt that is in here. The bottom ones are actually shorter than the top, and I have no explanation or reason for that, but I've got to drill and try to extract this out of there. These are very custom odd fasteners for this, so I'll take my time on that. I'll probably just soak this, for a day or so and penetrate it all before I go at it. Aside from that, I need to take the latch off here, the door latch. I'm going to go ahead and pull out all these fasteners here. And that's pretty much everything on this top side. Then I'll flip it over and we'll do some more. Alright guys, well I flipped it over and I took the door latch out and I removed all the fasteners around the perimeter. Where these gaskets overlay on the corner, I've taken X-Acto and just kind of cut it back a bit. Hopefully I can just get this off, slide it out, fix it, put it back, and that's just a matter of some double stick tape right there. But that's where we're at. We're getting ready to peel it open. Alright, I've removed this side of trim and I've removed this piece here, and this is the damage. You can see it. I originally thought this was a piece of Luan that was over some substrate, but it turns out this is part of it. It does look like it's Luan faced, so I'm not really sure about that. It is 3/4 in thickness. Another thing I think that is odd is there's an absolute straight line down through here. Why, I do not know, but you can see the damage I was speaking of. That's the rot we're going to take care of. I'm thinking that rather than replacing the entire piece, which I'd rather not, this line right through here is actually the top of this piece once it's on. So I will find a spot in here just beyond this to sever this, and I'll insert a new piece down here and put it all back together. Alright, it was about 2:30 in the morning when I shot that last clip. Super tired. I was wrong about a couple of things. This is not 3/4, it is 1. I was right that it was faced with Luan. There's a 1/4 inch right there. It's evidently been spot glued on here to keep it together. I've kind of made my marks on where I'm going to cut it across here to get rid of the bad so I can put in some new wood. And I found a scrap of 3/4 wood and actually found that I had some Luan. I've never purchased a piece of Luan in my life, but I just kind of come up with things like that over the years. So let me flip this over and I'll show you how it's constructed. Alright, well this tells a better tale, having it flipped over, and why I was a little bit confused, especially on this being a straight line. They've just kind of scabbed these together with scraps at the factory. This is actually the floor material that would be facing down with the undercoating on it. They've just put things together with staples, and this is obviously just spot glued here and there with probably some construction adhesive. I don't really care for the bottom part, and what I may do is, if I have a wider piece of 3/4, I'd rather try to come up to this edge right here, take this off, but not cutting through the Luan. Cut the Luan at the mark where I'd marked it on the other side, and then have more of a solid fill in here. I'm going to look. If I've got a scrap, I'll do that, and if not, I'll just whack it off where I said and just put the new one on. Alright, well I found a piece of scrap that was 16 inches wide, so probably got about 2.5 inches in here, much better than what we did have. So I'm going to roll with this piece, cut it to width. It's even got some bonus paint on it. So this is where the plywood's going to be cut off now. And I'll set the depth of my saw to not take the Luan off. And then right here on this mark, after I get this out of the way, I'll cut the Luan and get rid of the bad spot on the bottom. And then fill that in with that scrap there. Clear as mud? Well guys, I'm having one of those days I can't get straight. I said last night it was 3/4, and today I said it was 1, so I just got through whacking up all my pieces, and it's not. It's 7/8. So now I'm very proud here, and I'm not going to be able to get the channels on, especially after it's skinned on both sides. So I needed a thinner piece to do this, and I actually found another piece that is thinner. It's still a little thicker than what I've got here, but at least it might give me a fighting chance. So now I've got to set up again outside that I've already cleaned up in 20-degree weather to make a new piece. Having one of those days. Alright, well, I've got the new piece cut out. I'm still about a 1/16 proud of the surface here, but it's better than the 1/8 I had. I gained about a 1/16. It is going to be difficult to get the trim around here. I may have to beat it into submission, or even worst case, I may have to get a belt sander after this and actually sand a layer of that off. No big deal. But I think what I'm going to do is try to squeeze some glue under here and get this a little more solid on both sides. I'll glue this down here on the line. I'm actually going to go old school and use some nails to tack everything on while the glue sets, in lieu of going out in the freezing cold to get my air nailer. Alright, well, I've got it all glued up and tacked on. It's starting to look like a door again. I'm going to flip it over and put the outer skin on it first. Reason being, I need to locate where the hinge holes are, and they've already been pierced in the aluminum cladding. So I'll screw it on, and it'll tell me exactly where I need to pierce my holes for the hinge. Alright, well, I got the skin put back on it, and this is what I was talking about. There's 6 of these screws, so that registered everything back exactly the way it came off. I went ahead and pierced the holes here for these, which will come up from the bottom. They actually went in there and wallowed them out for some reason, but I tightened up the hole, so 7/16. So if I need to open it up a little bit because of a misalignment, I'll do that later, but I'd rather them be tighter than looser. You can actually see on this aluminum where it has just disappeared, corroded out over time. This is going to get covered up, and I'm going to have just enough right here to run my silicone when I'm finished. I've gone ahead and taken off all the old silicone. I'll clean this edge real good before I put everything back together, so when I get around to doing it, I won't have to clean it, I'll just put it on. Alright guys, well, I fought and fought and fought, but I lost. I did have to sand this down about a 1/16 of an inch or so in order to get this on. Everything has been put together, as you can see. All the trim, latch, whatnot. It looks good. It's plenty rigid. I am going to go ahead and go out in the dead dark of night and install it, even though one of these will not be installed because I need to extract the broken fastener. Alright, well, I've got my latch modified to hold this door open, as well as my little block off plate there I made. Now you can see how that works. It's been installed, everything's adjusted, looking good. It was a really tough time getting that broken bolt out of that fastener. Snapped the drill off into it. Anyway, this is wrapped up, looking good till the next time. The only thing I have left to do here is put some silicone all over it and make it weather tight again. It's just too cold to do it. I'm gonna have to wait for a better day. I also drilled some drain holes in the bottom like I mentioned I was gonna do. Did the same thing on my other trailer. My cost for this repair, 4 cents, and that was for the carriage bolt. Everything else I had on hand. Thanks for watching, guys, and good luck.